We are going live. I actually realized, like, yeah, what I wanted to do. Anyway, we're live. But what I wanted to do yesterday was I was thinking like, oh yeah, we need to go and do like, what do we need to do? We needed to just go and like implement sending stuff, but we already did that yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. Anyway, we can go over all the stuff you had today. I'm just gonna get pulled in case you've done anything else. Um, Yeah. Okay. You didn't push any of your latest stuff up. You just wanted to leave it as it was, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I didn't do any of those changes.
So yeah, I did some stuff which was like off camera, but not really off camera. I made a video out of it, how to make hooks. I'm just gonna go over
Yeah.
that quickly first, just explain what I'm doing. And we're not actually
Okay.
using this. I just wanted to make a video, and I thought this app would be a good place to do it, and we might use it later.
Okay.
So it's good to stick in
Cool.
here. So I made a hook here. Quite a complicated like mess. But it uses the React context. So you create like a context, which is like your little state thing, and then it makes its own provider. Like, so you normally get your provider and you say a value and you wrap it around. So I made like a custom provider where like basically it listens to a like on the component mounting, this provider mounting, we add an event listener to resize, and when we handle resize, it checks the windows like width and height and sets those values there. And I set like an is mobile if it's like inner width and stuff.
Cool.
And then finally I return a hook, which is just basically using the context, that viewport context, and like I did it like in app.js, but it's not there anymore. I'm not like using it. I like move things back, but I did like wrap our index.js in the viewport provider. Um, yeah, it's hard for me to explain it in one line. It took me like a 16-minute video to explain the whole concept, and I like demoed it and everything. So if you want to
Yeah.
like know what that is,
Yeah,
it's there. But
definitely.
that's what this hook is for.
Cool.
So it's good because it kind of goes over the use effect thing. Um, and I mean, we do kind of implement like a browser API, like event listener, where we add. You don't usually do this in React, but I mean, to monitor the window width, you need to do it to like trigger on window resize changes. So yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
it's actually just a whole bunch of stuff we've already done combined into like a cool little solution, except for the
Yeah.
window.add event listener. And then when the component unmounts, you remove the event listener.
Cool.
But yeah, and then I just exported it from hooks, like all because I'm exporting two things from here. I'm exporting viewport provider and the function that I made to use viewport.
Sorry,
Anyway,
Barry.
yeah,
Do you mind sending that live share link? I don't know if
I haven't
because
sent that yet. Yeah, sorry.
Kevin. Okay.
Am I not even sharing my screen yet? Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm like live screening. Um, so you can go
Yeah,
see
because
what I
I'm
was
wondering.
talking about.
I can't see any code, so it's hard to know where you are.
Yeah. Oops. Well, anyway, I made a video on that whole topic, so if you're confused about it, you can
Cool.
like check it out. Um,
Okay.
anyway,
Thanks.
let me go set up live share, start my collaboration session. Cool. So anyway, I was talking about this massive scary use hook thing. Use viewport hook that I made. It uses React context, which Richard, you weren't really around when we did this, but this is what we like. It works very similarly to Redux, but like less setup. But less setup also kind of means that you have to like every time you want to use it somewhere, you have to do a few more little things. It's like your own little mini like stores that you just like provide a context, and you have to wrap it in a provider as well wherever you're going to use it and stuff. Um,
Okay.
so I made this like viewport provider thing, but yeah, again, this whole thing it will make complete sense if you just go check out the video. Like I think I explained it pretty
Cool.
well, and I like basically show you how you do it without using the hook, and then I move it over to the hook, So it's, yeah, like, I think my video explains it quite well. Anyway, I need to send you guys this link. So I've got the invite link, and I'll just quickly send it over to you guys.
Cool.
Sweet. But yeah, then we can go over your guys' stuff. Because, yeah, I need to know how I can help you guys. So yeah, send the link. Did I not send it?
Richard.
Yeah, I just say.
No, I got it.
No, you did.
Richard, bro,
Yes?
guess what we forgot yesterday?
What?
I think we forgot it. Toggle logged in. We forgot to import toggle logged in.
You didn't need toggle logged in.
Didn't we?
No, you
No.
should get rid of that. Or
Oh,
toggle logged in
okay.
is used to log out. But you should just make a log out button really for that.
Okay.
Which we have.
I mean, have
Not that
you
log out button.
got the log out
Okay.
function? Because your log out button uses toggle logged in.
Yeah, that's why I imported it.
So you should actually change it to log out because we're not using it like as a.
Okay. So
Let me do that
that's
so long.
something
I'm gonna change
we
it
do.
the whole thing to log out, just
Cool.
because we're never actually toggling it anymore. So yeah, and then I'll go change all the actions where we used it.
Cool.
Um,
Awesome.
Thanks.
Sweet. So that toggle logged in is gonna be log out. Log out. There we go. I'm gonna OCD move it to the bottom. And then in our reducer, again, so just going through the norms of things. This basically means log out, and over here for logged in, we're just gonna return false. And now we have to go to wherever we were implementing it, which I'm sure you did because it would have complained, I think, if you tried to do stuff. So that logout button should technically be in home now. I don't know if you've put that there.
Yeah.
Or did you put like a new components? I don't know.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay, yeah. So what you could do down the line is put this component into its own little like component, like just call it like auth button, I guess. I wonder if we've done that already.
Well, we have got auth
I
button.
think there's a button, yeah.
So you should kind of just use auth button in here and then upload that. So yeah, that's where we did our toggle logged in. But we can you can kind of like, should I just do it now quickly to show you what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome to.
Because it's nice to keep it like in its own little component. So we're gonna get because toggle logged in and stuff's not gonna work anymore. We're going to use let me just remove these pointless imports because we're not really using them. Keeping it clean. So yeah, you don't, the home page, obviously you wouldn't want that statement there because you don't want to instantly move them to the login page if they're not logged in. What if they don't want to log in? You know, they just want to see the
Yeah.
contestants. So it makes sense to not have that there.
Cool.
But yeah, so this, I mean, our toggle logged in stuff's gonna like complain because we've removed the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but what I want to do is we're gonna look at the existing state, and yeah, so we have is logged in, and there's our like handler here, so it will say log out if it is logged in and log in if it is not. In here, we're no longer pushing anything. We're just gonna say if the user is logged in. I mean, you almost can kind of just go back to the toggle logged in. Well, no, you can't because if the user's logged in, we will log them out. If the user's not logged in, we will push them to the login page. So that's what we're
Yes.
gonna do. So if the user's logged in, we will dispatch log out, which is the action from our reducer actions. Else we will history dot push. I mean, I don't like using else statements just because we're kind of having a habit of not doing that.
The
So
hobbit.
a good old hobbit of not doing that. Yes. Um, we're pushing to slash login. That is it. We have the hobbit. I
Okay.
just need to actually monitor our live stream so that I can see that we're live on my other laptop because otherwise I won't see comments. Let me just check if there were any comments. I don't know what that means. But
Is it our friend Rohan?
what?
Because Rohan was
The Nintech.
no, he was. Okay, never mind.
No, you're
Continue.
not looking at the live stream, so
Okay.
yeah, let me hop on there. Like my own video because I can. Yeah, so now at least I can see comments. Anyway, where was I? So this should theoretically work. I mean, this part won't work because we're trying to toggle logged in. But what we've got now is we've just got one button that we show you, and this is our auth button. So that should kind of replace this functionality. I'll just put an auth button here, not youth button. My bad.
Cool.
Auth
Thank you,
button. Cool. Hoping that makes sense. Yeah. Sorry, Richard. Could you be doing that?
Alright, my brother.
Oh,
Maybe just sound off.
Yeah, shut. Yeah, you can just come on when you have questions, or if he stops. So, obviously now we don't need to use dispatch and history here because our stuff is being, sorted out in the auth button. So we're kind of simplifying this home page component. Because that's what you want to do. You want to like leave all the hectic logic steps to the smaller components, so that it's
okay.
easier to like see the big picture. Here we see now we've got header, we've got contestants display, and we've got the contestant input. Even if you wanted to, you could move the contestant input into, like this is logged in, you can move it into the component. But how we have it set up here is pretty good.
Okay.
This is also pretty descriptive. Anyway, let me just go and address the errors that we have. So here in admin, it doesn't matter because we're going to get rid of this page. I'm just not getting rid of it right now because well, we might want to like look at it for something.
Yeah.
We might have forgotten something, but I don't think you've forgotten something. This looks exactly the same as the. You know what? I'm just going to delete the whole admin page. If we need anything, we'll remake it because it's on source control, so you can even go back and see it. That would just mean that in the root, we're going to need to remove that admin page stuff. I see you made public page for no reason, so gonna get rid of that. Yeah. Did you guys start building random public page?
No, that was there before us, eh?
Oh, okay. Oh, did you make a new
Yeah.
page called home?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, if we're using home now for
Yeah.
the new page, then yeah, we don't need this. Yeah, cool. So we have login, we go to the contestant ID, that's all good. We've removed admin page, so we're not using that anymore. Auth button obviously in our home page now. We need to import auth button. I'm also going to remove the other like useless imports. So that is that. So from here I need to import auth button as well. Cool. and we've already exported auth button from like previously, so it's already
Yeah.
been exported from components, so that's all good.
Okay.
So now, yeah, our component compiles. So it means like if we go over to the actual, flip, what am I doing? You make a new local host. Show people what I'm doing.
Dude, that was
We
very much easier.
it's not working yet. I haven't actually. I just
Oh,
cleaned up code at the moment.
okay.
So I just want to show that it is working, and the auth button should work. It should, because we're not logged in, take us correctly to. Well, we logged in, so it
Back
shows log
to
out.
login.
If we click log out, um, we're logged out, and if we click log in, it will take us to log in. Now the problem is that what we want to set in here is when I successfully, or when I don't successfully log in, let's type in the wrong password. It says password incorrect. It should do nothing. Good. If I type it
Yeah.
incorrectly, it's supposed to take me, redirects me back to like the home page, like just to the
Yeah.
default slash. But the problem is it doesn't. So it logs me in. We're technically logged in, and if we go back,
Okay.
then we're still logged in. But you haven't set it up
Uh,
to. This is where your problem was. Um, so this we're gonna solve it in the login page. Uh, yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna remove this comments and stuff out because we're not like using it for
Yeah.
anything. We use like one method or the other, and we know now how to use the different methods, so it's fine.
Cool.
Yeah, we for handle login we are gonna just dispatch that login. That's good, but we're not gonna do a history push. That's fine. So in here, this is where you want to do your use effect, and I'll probably put it above the functions just because like I don't know. I put hooks and
Okay.
then I put my functions down, or do I? Jeez, I don't even know. Then we just put the
Yeah.
hook down here. So we're gonna use a use effect hook, like we have before. Remember this? Just it will
Yes.
run this block of code when the component mounts, and then if you write a return, it will write the block of code when the component unmounts. But we're not gonna do anything on component unmounting. And then it takes a list of
Okay.
dependencies. So this dependencies list, anything that's in here means that this effect will run again if that dependency changes. So the dependency that we're going to look at is logged in. Now we haven't actually got that, so we need to go import use selector to get our is logged in,
Yes.
because we need to know if they're like logged in. So if they're not logged in, we'll do nothing. But if they are logged in, then we are going to history push back to the home page.
Okay. Cool.
So let's just add in const is logged in here, and we'll use our histories, like our reducer selector. So we use selector, we say state, and we return state dot is logged in.
Cool.
Cool, all sorted. Yeah, obviously, if we were gonna use the username and password thing setting here, then we could go back to Redux. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're using state here, so we should actually. I don't know if we've removed them yet. Let me just quickly check in action types. Sorry, things are going slowly.
That's true.
I can't drag anymore. What happened? Cool. So we need to remove this. So I'm just gonna write to do here for you guys.
Cool.
Remove these actions and reduce the handlers.
Cool.
Let me just like end it there, so you know it's like that block. Because we're using state here and we're pushing it through in our login like function. Unless you want to remove this part and then keep using that. But I mean, yeah. You could even the set name, set points, like I showed you how to do it reducer, but you could use context and there's all that kind of stuff. Or we could just keep the whole like contest and input into one component and just use state without context, or just use props. But yeah, you know, the point was I could show you the different like ways that we're doing
Yeah.
things. Oh my gosh, I need to show people the right screen. You guys haven't missed anything. I literally just showed login over here. So anyway, that's for later. I'll save that just so the comment's saved, and I can get back to what we're doing. So remember, the goal now is to, when if we're on the login page and the user is logged in, we're gonna push them back. So I've
Yeah.
written this little effect here. Every time is logged in changes, and this will run also, like, at the start of the component mounting. Everything in here will run.
Yeah.
So like basically this runs on the component mounting, and then whenever is logged in changes. So that's what happens here.
Okay. Cool.
But that's a use effect. I mean, if you understand how use effect works, then like that's how it works. Like everything in here runs when the component mounts. It will run again if anything in this array changes. So you can add another thing in here and say like, oh, if username changes, then I want to run it again as well.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, that's your list of dependencies, and if a dependency changes, it reruns the effect. So what we're going to do now is we'll simply say if the user is logged in, we want to history dot push,
Cool.
and we're going to just push to there, and that's it. It's done.
Awesome.
Like you've got that little hook in there. It listens to
Awesome.
changes. I just need to actually import use effect from React, because that would help not crash our app. There we go.
Okay.
Is Richard happy?
You happy, Richard?
Yes, I just have one question. Sorry, I forget
Yeah,
my brother.
that's fine.
So that is logged. Sorry.
Yeah.
Here is logged in.
Yes.
So use selector.
Yeah.
I mean, that gets set at the beginning when this component when this component gets mounted. But
That-
now, does that ever get like reset?
Yeah, that's the selector. You're selecting use logged in from the reducer. So you have is logged in. Initially, it's false. Well, it depends what happens. Can you mute quickly just so I can explain it? Thanks. And then just ask your question when I'm done explaining. So is logged in. Use selector. What use selector does is it goes and selects the redux state, like the redux state value. So it's selecting this value in initial state. Now again, we have our redux persists. So technically, like, if you were logged in previously and you went away and you came back, you'd still be logged in. So that's like its own little thing. But this is logged in is listening to the state of our reducer. So when it changes, when the reducer state changes, this value changes as well. So this value is completely subscribed to the reducer. So when we say handle login click, we dispatch the login function. It comes through our actions, and then we update our reducer based on login. So we return a new state, which in here we made it a helper function. But what it essentially does is it, in the helper function, if we go look at the helper function, so login, it's pretty much, we're checking if the username is admin and if the password is admin, just because we like having a little bit of like, hard coded like check. You do this differently, you do the server side if you were like actually checking. But yeah, after that we return state and is logged in. So we're updating the redux state, and is logged in suddenly becomes true. Now because this is logged in state becomes true, it's what we return in our reducer. Because that's true, suddenly the value over here changes. It's suddenly true. But we want to put it in effect to say that we're only going to run this piece of code every time is logged in changes. And that's this redux thing is what triggers the is logged in to change. When we click login, is logged in will change via like our reducer. Because we need to use this is logged in value throughout the app, so we can't just pass it around through props everywhere. Well, we can, but it's easier to just keep it in our global Redux store. So yeah. Anyway, you can speak
Yeah.
again.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Or
Yeah, no, it does. So
do you-
what would happen if you put is logged in straight after straight after this dispatch and say it's successfully logged in, will it still, what value would it have? Or does the dispatch work asynchronously?
Yeah, technically it does actually work a little bit asynchronously. That's why it's a better practice to just listen. And the problem is, if you put it in here, like basically, I'm just like hitting a lot of birds with one stone with this result. Because if we put it in here, then it's only going to do the is logged in. Yeah, it's kind of asynchronous. Because the component needs to re-render because the is logged in value will change. Because the is logged in value, like when a component re-renders, then the value changes. Like it's this whole like asynchronous kind of working thing. So you are gonna have to click
Okay.
handle logged in twice because the first time you click it, it will dispatch to log them in, but the is logged in value wouldn't have changed. When you click it again, the value would have changed. So then you can
Ah,
yeah. And the other problem
Yeah, we
is
had that problem.
yeah.
yeah.
So the other problem that we have is like if you came to the login page as a person who's already logged in, you can't like theoretically log in as someone else while you're logged in as someone, you know? So you also want to like if
Yeah.
they're logged in to direct them away. So if you came to the page as a logged in person, then you don't want them to click, handle logged in for them to be redirected away. You just want to actually immediately redirect them away because they're logged in. So they'll go back to the main page where they can click log out. So that's the other thing. So this use effect it like hits a lot of birds with one stone because it's like, you know what, I don't care what anything else is. If the user's logged in, I'm going to push them away regardless of how they became logged in or anything. If they're logged in, they shouldn't be here, so I'm going to push them away. So that means, if they're on the page and they log in, we're monitoring for is logged in changing, so we push them away. If they come to the page and they're logged in, we push them away immediately. So you kind of like hit all birds with like this simple like three-liner thing, which is great.
Awesome.
So yeah, and yeah, again, the way use effect works,
Yeah, cool.
everything in this block, it happens when the component mounts, but then it also, if you have these dependencies changed, it will happen again. So if you wanted to just do something on a component mount, you just make this dependencies list empty. And then finally, to handle components unmounting, if you wanted to, which we're not going to use here because we don't need to, but you can make another return block. And if you return this callback, everything in here will run when the component is unmounted. So, like, I mean, I
Cool.
could say example console.log
Bro,
by. Yeah, what's up? Ask a question, Salong, and then I'll answer while showing
I
this off.
wanted to say, yeah, you know the logout that we put in the reducer
Yeah.
actions? I wanted to say, so that, let me just check it out. I'll just check it out myself quickly. Every week.
Okay. Well,
So,
let me show you how the. I just want to show you the console of what we have here.
okay.
So notice how that buy message like that we
Yeah.
wrote here, this console.log buy, doesn't show now because we just mounted the component. Even if we log away on our own
Yes.
without, if we hit back, the component unmounts and it writes buy. So you see like the
Okay.
component, whenever it unmounts, it will write that console.log just to show that that's what I mean when like this is what happens when it unmounts. If I log in, it sends me away as well and it writes buy. And it writes buy twice because the component unmounts, it goes back to login page and yeah. Oh, because it runs every time that logged in thing happens, it's like that. But yeah,
Okay.
like that's how the unmounting thing works. So you can make sure to like do any cleanup code if you need to.
Okay, cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think it just gets the cleanup code is a bit confusing when you have dependencies. So what I'd probably do is make a different use effect that just like, you know, for one block
Cool.
returns, like you put your return statement in here and then you do that like by thing, and then you make like like empty thing
Cool.
there. But yeah, it's okay to have multiple
Okay.
use effect hooks inside one component because one effect could be listening to
Okay.
is logged in, another one could be listening to something else, and you can separate them if you want to. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Okay. So then on the logout function, that is actually in the reducer. I mean, yeah, reducer index, correct? Where it says
Yeah,
case types logout return false.
yep. We say is logged in,
Okay,
false.
cool. So then it returns false, and if it does return false, we redirect. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's just like
Okay, awesome.
basically remember that this whole reducer, it returns our state. So
Yes.
when this state updates,
Yes.
every component that is subscribed to that state, like with use selector, every component subscribed to that specific
Yes.
selector that it's selecting will update. So anything that's listening for is logged in
Okay, cool.
will update, and anything that's listening to like set password will update. But I mean, obviously we're
Cool.
like working on removing this.
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's right
think
now.
this makes a lot of sense to us as well.
So this is just what I wanted you to do as well. I guess it's important to understand how this kind of background life cycle stuff works, and you kind of get it mostly through
Yeah, very.
practice. Like it's not
Yeah,
like
we just got to practice.
yeah, unless you want to go read the Redux docs. But I mean, like yeah, we have a state. Any component subscribed to a piece of the state will update when that piece of state changes. So it's very
Okay.
like reactive, and that's what's cool about React. So you
Okay.
do everything as
Uh,
like you kind of modularize everything. So everything has its own little function and it will subscribe to its own little pieces of information. So you build your massive application together with a bunch of little components that
cool.
all like listen to little things. And it's wonderful because you
Awesome.
can have like a massive separation of concerns. But yeah,
Yeah.
that use
And
effect
then
stuff is very
the
important. Yeah, sure. What's up?
yeah, definitely. The to remove set username and stuff, we obviously never setting password, correct? So that's why we're removing it, eh?
Yeah. So the reason we're removing this is
It
because we're
has,
using
yeah, we're not
state
even
on the
using it.
login page. So it's important to keep your
Yeah.
Redux stuff clean because, again, like you're switching through all the possible actions that could go on here. So it's not like ideal to
Yeah.
have pointless ones that don't do
Yeah, that'll
anything.
just confuse us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it harder to read everything. So whenever you're not using something, delete
As
it. Like
well.
keep your app as simple as possible because otherwise it
Cool.
gets overwhelmed and you're like, what does everything do? Like, so just keep your app as minimal as possible. It's
Yes.
not worth it to keep like unused components in your project.
Yeah. We were gonna do the deleting phase, but we're like, now that we delete something that we're not supposed to.
Yeah, well, the thing is you can always add it back.
Yeah.
Like that's what source control is for. So if you realize you did screw up, you can just go
Yeah,
check out
well,
source control, see what the component looked like, and copy it back in.
yeah,
Like that's
cool.
the wonders of now that we're using like GitHub and stuff. We don't have to worry about deleting stuff. We can
Yeah.
just like roll back if you wanted
Oh,
to.
that's awesome.
Cool.
Sweet.
So yeah, that's pretty much like I mean it solves your problem, and you guys did good
Yeah.
with that stuff. Um, so today it's not going to be much more, but it's going to be very useful for what we're doing. Um, we're going to
Yeah.
look at our contestants display component.
Yes.
Over here, we're using a use effect. I'm going to delete this because we're not using that anymore. It was just to show you that, like, we used that. And
Okay.
this fetch contestants updates like whenever the fetch contestant like function
Okay.
updates. So the problem with this component is it just runs once. It runs once when the like when the component mounts. And when fetch contestants
Okay,
changes,
yeah.
but fetch contestants theoretically never does change, because we don't change any, like it's,
Oh, yeah.
its dependencies are empty. So
Yeah.
this doesn't change, so that means that this
Yeah.
doesn't really change. So this actually just runs once. So we fetch the contestants when the component
Yeah.
mounts, but we want to set up some little subscription thing where we keep listening to Firebase for changes. Um,
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to go to login quickly and just remove the. What am I removing? Missing dependency. Okay. This effect, it wants to listen for if history changes as well. It's just like a thing to say, hey, like theoretically history won't change, but it's like a common practice to just like list all your dependencies that are used in the function, because we use is logged in and we use history.push. Anyway, sorry,
Okay,
I
cool.
got distracted. So we want to set up some subscription
Cool.
thing that we listen to Firebase, and we also so bear in mind two things.
Mm-hmm.
Like for one, in the effect, we're gonna like listen to Firebase and be like every time the value of contestants updates, we want to fetch that new value and set our state to that new
Yeah.
value, and then we need to cancel the
Okay.
subscription as well when we unmount the component, because you should only be subscribing
Okay.
for as long as you need to. That keeps your code like kind of
Okay.
clean, because you do some like garbage collection stuff. Um,
Okay.
so in order to do that, I found this cool post. Happily just chilling on Medium, where it's just I mean, everyone else will see the code like in a second. They have something like this, where they like subscribe. They subscribe to everything like in here, like as is. So previously we used a service. We created our own little service, which was the get contestants like thing. But now we kind of
Yes.
we're digressing, like diverging, whatever, can't even speak. Diverging away from that a little bit, just to try out this solution. Because this Firebase here is like Firebase.db is actually just our DB. The way that they set their props
Yeah.
up are a bit weird. So I'm going to copy the whole thing in here. And I think I just want to try and see if it works before I explain what's going on. Um, so, like, let me change it to our thing. So ours is just going to be DB, and we get DB from services. So we don't actually need contestants anymore. I'm just going to comment those ones out for now. We'll look at it later. So yeah, db.collection.contestants, that's nothing new. We've seen that before in our Firebase stuff. Now there's an on snapshot
Yeah.
method, and this on snapshot method, as far as I know, should basically like return, okay, there's stuff, Uh,
Yeah.
so like if it's empty, we return we just return contestants. I think it doesn't really matter. We don't need to have that if statement in there. I just need to know how to get that snapshot data. So I'm going to look at our services just to get the idea of it, because we use
Okay.
snapshot in our services. And again, at the moment, I am very much just like winging things. So we use snapshots in get contestants, like so we can see what you can
Yeah.
return from snapshot. Um, so snapshot has docs in it. So what we want to do is I wonder, we can set contestants to the snapshot dot docs. I'm thinking about our is fetching. We're probably not even using that anymore. Dot map,
Mm.
and I'm just gonna copy how we did our contestants here really. Um, so many things.
Okay.
So I'm not ready to explain it because I'm still confused. I just kind
Sure.
of want to see if this works. And there is fetching now. What we have, we should technically have like a try catch to handle like the error. Um, well, I mean, if there's an error, contestants just won't update. But yeah, I think we can get rid of this for now. Oops. And get rid of that and see if something works. Yeah, what? Why does it say DB is not exported from services? Oh, okay.
Um,
DB is just the default export. Yes, Richard.
um, yeah. So I think there's a that props firebase. You're gonna need to change that to DB. I think.
I did. Done, yeah. DB dot
Yeah.
collection.
No, no. Just go
Oh,
over
that.
to the end of the use effects.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, you are correct. Yeah, my bad. So if our DB changes, then you'd run this again, but technically you wouldn't need to. Sorry, I didn't even get to the point of looking down at the terminal issues. We don't even need it. It's not part of our like React thing because we're not like updating the Firebase prop ever. So let's see if this works. That would be cool. Show everyone else what we're doing. So, um, I'm trying to think the best way to do this is probably to just add a new person. So we'll make a new guy, and new guy should have 1 point. Submit, and it updated. It threw them at the top because we're not ordering by in our database, but that worked. It updated immediately.
Straight away, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So we know that works, which is great. I'm sure we
Cool.
could put this we can put this into its own hook. And I would like to do that. So that would be a cool thing to do because this is going to be a mission if we want to set it up, somewhere else. But theoretically, from this, you just get
Okay.
contestants, and we can put the get contestant into their own hook so that if we were to reuse it somewhere, especially like in this component, it's just a mission, then we can. Um, and we can set up like an is fetching in there initially as well, like just to say that is fetching is true the first time. Um, upon the first snapshot, we will, set it like is fetching to like. There's just a bunch of stuff that it will actually be easier to explain once we clean up the code. But
Cool.
knowing this, we can remove that because we're not using it at all. Um, and for now, yeah, we'll leave this is fetching in here. My goal basically, and if you see my like hooks video that I made yesterday, is I kind of converted the use state and use effect together into its own little hook, so you could just get contestants like as is, like no setting, no anything. You just fetch contestants from like use Firebase contestants. Um, like we can make a use Firebase contestants hook, um, if we wanted to, which is pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it's a bit hard to explain. Let's just go through what's happening in here, and before I do that, we must order by. Order by points descending.
There we go.
So that should at least,
Awesome.
I guess, again, for these guys that didn't see me write that, I I just wrote order by points descending, added that line in there. Anyway, let's go check on Chrome. Is it working?
Hmm.
So now at least we should be ordering by. Yeah, it's properly ordered by. And if we make another new guy, person,
Say newest guy.
person with 50 points. We put them in the middle with 50 points. There's person with 50 points, and they're there in the middle, which is right. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
which is awesome. So we should actually just put the delete functionality in too. But I really want to like this works, and we're not using it anywhere else yet. But like if we can have time, because if we can put delete in there now, then you know things are really good. Because
Yeah.
like we're in a good space. But I really want to put this into its own hook so it's less confusing and if so it's more reusable basically. Um,
Okay.
and you could put it in its own like configurable hook where you add props to the hook. So you could say like you could put the order by like thing in there and like put in stuff like that if you wanted to. Um,
Mm.
Barry,
yeah.
I just wonder if you can get me and Kevin to try and do this. It might be a good, like a good task to do. Unless you want to do it now, but I'll
I
just take
mean,
it.
I don't know how how to assign. What do you want? Do you want like get you to do put this into its own custom hook?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
just to
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah, so you can do that, and then you can use my my hooks tutorial that I made as guidance for it. So the use viewport hook is how it would look. Basically,
Okay.
what it would look like is your use effect and use state will all go like this stuff over here will all just go into here, and you'll go make a viewport context like up there, and you'll put the provider here, and you have children and stuff. And then yeah, there's obviously like value and stuff. And then you return what you'd call use firebase contestants there. So the whole thing is in this file, but my video will describe it quite well. So yeah, you guys can do that then. That would be cool. And then
Yeah, that'd be
you should
awesome.
get a pretty good grasp on how to build custom hooks, which will be quite cool. Um, yeah, and then we can focus on deleting quickly. Uh, so
Sweet.
because at least we know this works. This works. It's in order. Everything's good. Obviously, our database is a bit of a mess now because we just adding people and we aren't able to delete them unless we go into Firebase ourselves. And again, I'm showing the wrong screen for people. Um, so I was showing they could use this use viewport hook, and I have a video on how to do that. And they can convert this into its own little custom hook. And then you just need to remember, but again, it's also in the video. I made a provider and I went and stuck it in over here. So what you're gonna do is basically just add another provider in underneath this and call it like the Firebase provider. But what I will do tomorrow, if you get it working, and if you guys are up for tomorrow, I don't know, is I'll show us how to build like another little like higher order kind of component that will merge all our custom hooks together, so that they all can just be a top level provider
Okay.
thing. Um,
Okay.
because yeah, writing a whole bunch of providers underneath each other is like not pretty.
Cool.
So yeah, um,
Another thing I was just gonna say is we also mustn't forget the I don't know if we have no, we haven't done it. The if the name matches the name entered, then it must just update the point.
yeah, we already did that. Um,
Oh, we got that in.
we did that in contestants. Did we do it? Yeah, maybe we left that out. It should be in the
Let me
service.
just check quick.
Get
I'm gonna add
contestant.
another. So I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
add
we're not.
another. We're not doing it, eh?
Yeah, yeah. So what we need to do it in here. This get contestant in here. Um, uh, to do. Oops. What did I do? I just like deleted a bunch of stuff. That's not useful. So I'm gonna write it to do here.
Yeah.
Handle adding existing contestant, because this actually means
Yeah.
like update. So we have to first check when we're creating a new contestant, is it working, like is it existing?
Yeah.
And we're checking it by name, and then if it does, then we update their points. So updating might be a bit different, but I think if we're able to delete, we'll be in a better space to be able to update, because delete involves selecting a
Okay.
contestant.
Cool.
So
Okay.
um,
Awesome.
let me just consult Dr. Google. Cloud Firestore delete. Correct. So we might just find a nice little article again that we'll delete. This might be. That's always like, is it going to show me how to do it programmatically? There is a delete document saying use document.delete. Um,
Cool.
okay, I guess this is pretty straightforward because you just find the one with the ID. So um, this is pretty straightforward then, because it's the same way we get contestant, we just delete contestant. So I'm going to remove get contestants as a whole because we're not using it, and we're going to move it to a custom hook. So like remember we've removed it from our display data over here.
Yeah.
And that just means in our services here, we're going to remove our get contestants. We'll keep the other one because it's just fetching once and we're not like listening for. But what theoretically, what would be cool is once you get the hook working for delete, like for get contestants, like use firebase contestant, we can build another one for, well, like use an individual contestant, so you just put their ID in there as a parameter, and you have another one for like use add contestant. You could actually, yeah, you could call it use get contestants, use get contestant, and then use add contestant, and like a use delete contestant. But let's just do things the old-fashioned way, because then tomorrow we can really go
Cool.
down like building custom hooks out of it. Um, theoretically, in the
So
end, yeah,
yeah, you get the contestant because you in the hook that you made, correct?
yeah. Well, I haven't made the hook
Okay.
yet, but it's in this function here,
Okay. Yeah.
which we will
Okay.
convert to a hook, because to put this all in one line would be very nice. So,
Cool.
but like while we're doing it, in the end, what we can do is with our adding contestant and like getting contestant, we can add like little fetching methods in there, and those like custom services that we make. So yeah, we can do quite a bit.
Okay.
So delete contestant should work very much like add contestant. No, actually, it should work very much like get contestant. You just slap a delete on the end. So import DB from services. Wow, that went wrong. If only, guys, if only I could type. Okay, there we go. So we're going to say const delete contestant. And then I think after that we'll be in a pretty good space to call it a day and just answer questions. So again,
Yeah.
when you delete a contestant, you're going to need their ID.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't need that equals there. And I think what should work is, again, we'll just do our try catch in here. We can add this try catch to the custom hook as well, like when we set that up. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll do that later. If we find a place to reuse the custom hook, we might be able to like make it a little bit more configurable. I said soft, means
Okay.
something. By the way, that book I linked yesterday is really, really, really good.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, bro.
It's like very much worth checking out if you, well,
Awesome.
it doesn't really matter what you do as a software developer. Like, yeah, it's good for all stages of like career stuff and learning phases and stuff. Okay, so
Awesome.
I need to get a specific. Ooh, I need to get a specific contestant. So we can actually. I'm gonna do it.
So we're gonna have to find, right?
Yeah, but okay. So that removes like a specific. I'm busy just like checking this out. Why does it show me how to delete fields, but not actually to just delete? Okay, delete documents. So we just find the document, like look at the collection, get the doc at the
Oh
ID, and
yeah.
we say dot delete, and then yeah, you can return stuff as well. Like you can await, and then say
Okay.
stuff await, but also catch. So we don't have to actually do anything in the await. But what we will do in here is we
Yeah.
will await, and we will DB collection, and we'll just look at contestants, and then doc at ID, and we can say delete. So deleting is super easy, or should be at least. What is wrong here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, cool. So, I mean,
Cool.
I wonder if this is complaining because it's not actually waiting for anything.
Barry, is
Yeah,
the I was wondering if you could use that get contestant method in your get contestant service, just to get the contestant, and then you can delete it from there, can't you? I don't
this
know,
is
because it has a
this is
whole lot of
better,
nice logic there.
but
Yeah, that sounds cool.
this
I
is
don't know if you
worse.
can do that.
This is worse. This is more efficient.
Okay.
This logic is to get the contestant and assign a rank to them and assign an ID to the document. Like,
Okay.
Yes.
so yeah.
But
Um,
if just for instance,
I mean, we can
like
add
if we just
the
do like a commented.
like you can basically the way that delete works is a lot more simple. If something
Okay.
bad happens, it might be because the contestant ID doesn't exist. And then you can look at the exception. I said console.ug, not log. Um, like you'll have to look in the exception to make a message for that,
Okay.
because that's where that will fail. Because yeah, if you look at the docs on how to delete on web, there's no like thing to say it like didn't happen. You can only have the catch saying something bad happened, and then error there. But
Okay.
yeah, what we did here was very messy. To try and get our contestants, because what we actually did here is we fetched all contestants, then we found the contestant, and we needed to get all contestants so we could find this contestant's rank within the contestants documents. So to delete
Yeah.
one at a specific ID is it's like basically instead of mapping through an array, we're looking at an object key and deleting that key. So it's
Okay.
much more optimized. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
guess also because this get contestant, it returns the state. It doesn't return something that you can append or delete to. So
yeah. We don't need to
wouldn't have
return
made sense
anything
otherwise.
either. So yeah, like that's why I originally went there because I thought, okay, getting contestant will make sense, but then I realized we don't even fetch like a contestant. Usually, if you want to get a single contestant, you'll do db.collection.doc at ID and you'll say .get, and it will give you the document. But we actually needed all the contestants because we needed to know which contestant we were looking at. We needed to find their rank because their rank
Ah,
isn't stored with their data because their rank is relative to the other contestants. So yeah,
Okay.
because obviously you can't store their rank as data because their rank is actually dependent on what everyone else's score is. So you need to get everyone else in as well, or you need to get the ordered list and then just index down. Yeah. So yeah, that should work. We just need to actually put it in now into our component. Um, so do we have a? I think you just use dispatch for that. Um, Yeah, you just put a dispatch button in there. We're gonna make a new button.
Cool.
Just call it delete button. It only gets used in this component, so we'll just put it inside the component directly.
Cool.
Index.ts. I mean JS. And if I can move this stupid thing to there. Okay, it's fine. It's good. So here I will just open, like I basically want to see what the delete button did look like. So obviously after this you can remove the remove contestant thing. I mean it's not going to do anything now anyway because yeah. So you should also remove that. Add
Yeah.
it to your
Okay.
list of to-dos. We are going to use use state. So the only thing we need to use in here is use state because we need to say it is removing. So const delete button, and we will that is logged in as good. So we're just gonna put the delete button in over this. So it doesn't take any props. We need to we do need to get the contestant ID in here. So it actually does take a prop.
Okay.
I'm dumb. So we're going to take the ID prop in there. And we're going to say const is deleting. Set is deleting. And it's going to equal, okay, yeah, it's going to equal use state. And initially it will be false. So once we render the button, it's not deleting anything. A function handle click, which we will fill in just now. That's where all the magic happens. And then we will just return a button that is disabled if it is deleting, because you don't want to click deleting twice. On click, we will run handle click. So nothing special about all this. It's basically like a submit button. Then we have remove. I'll fix that now. Contestant. If it is deleting, then we say removing. Otherwise, it's just remove. And I mean, you know, you can even say that again, like over here. Have little dots just for the heck of it. So the second one will be, what happened? It just left me. Anyway, so we'll say dot dot dot. Otherwise, return an empty string there. So
Okay.
it just means like it will say remove contestants if it's not deleting. It will say removing contestant dot 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 if it is deleting. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Now for some magical things, I'm gonna go look at the contestant input submit because the flow kind of follows that. So like a lot of the times, like even I just look at what we've already done, just to get a good idea of like how we did it, why we did it. So basically, we're following the is submitting set is submitting thing here. So immediately when we click it, we're gonna say is deleting, set is deleting to true. Then we'll do the thing, and then after we do the thing, we're gonna say set is deleting to false. And obviously this is actually an asynchronous function, and sorry, I didn't follow our convention. We were doing stuff this way, not the other way. So it's an async function because you're running something that takes time. So in here we need to await, and we need to await delete contestant, which we will get from services. And we pass the ID in there, which is the ID we're going to add through with props soon.
Cool. Okay.
So I'm going to get delete contestant. I think I forgot to export it from services. So that's the thing. But I just want to finish this component first. Delete button. Okay. I'm just gonna go here and see, make sure from our services if we did actually export delete. We did not. Cool. So, export delete contestant. And now I can say from delete contestant. There we go. Cool.
You've got delete contestants. It's,
right. Yeah, thanks. Emma?
yeah, the file.
Right.
A folder,
Perfect.
sorry, though.
Yeah, no. You are 100% right. I need to fix that. I code some NASA stuff. Thanks, dude. It's from Ven's cookie. I don't know how long ago you sent that. I haven't been looking at my chat, so my bad. But thanks for commenting. Cool. So that works. So now this is fine. Now we need to implement it. Now remember, we adding an ID as a prop here. So
Yeah.
we need to go back to our contestant, and we're not going to use dispatch button anymore. And I think that's the last of us using dispatch button. So you can probably get rid of that component. We're not going to use it again for anything. We're not going to use remove contestants either. Yeah, we will use selector because we need to get the logged in state.
Yeah.
And why is there a handle click here? Oh yeah, if you click on the contestant, it will take you to the contestant page. That's good.
Yeah.
So in here, we are going to put our delete button. And delete button is just going to have an ID. An ID prop. ID is going to be equal to the ID of the contestant that we're selecting. Oops, sorry, my bad. So this ID over here is, coming from the contestant's display.
Okay.
So we have their ID and we're putting it in there. Now we just need to import delete button. That would be useful. Import delete button from /delete button. I mean, if this is my project, I'll just call it delete. I like to be very minimalist. It makes sense. But yeah. Sweet. So what we have now is something that should theoretically work. Let's head over to Chrome and go look at our React app. Yep. I think I forgot to do some stuff there. Two children with the same key. Oh, that's because you named them the same. We can actually change that. Let's just test if we remove this test. I think something bad happened. We need to stop propagation. I think this is how you spell it. So what this does is when you click on the delete button, it will stop the parent clicks from happening, because here we have like an on click which is happening in the delete button, which is inside another on click.
Okay.
So you have like a big block being clicked, and then you're clicking the button inside. But now what it's seeing is you're clicking the button and you're clicking the big block, so it will trigger both events. So if on the button, the delete button, you write e.stop propagation, it will stop clicking through. Once you click on the specific one. So
sure. Okay.
Yeah, that's a thing. Just while I'm at it, our contestants, they had a unique key, and that was their name, but the unique key should actually be contestant.id, because that's what makes them unique.
Yeah.
So not that this shouldn't be a problem, because theoretically we should put that fix in to not add two contestants with the same name.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's Geesh, in this filter of undefined, I need to fix that too. Um, I think that's something to do with our main. Uh, what is it? I don't even know. We'll look at it when we get there. So yeah, I'm gonna remove this test guy. Might not work. It did work. This is just something we need to figure out what's going on, yeah, because it's like it's deleting and then
Guys, I'll be back right now. I just got to take 2 secs. I just got to fetch something for my
okay,
brother
cool.
quickly.
This is quite an important part.
Alright.
um,
Barry, tell the joke.
what? No,
Let's tell a joke.
I can't tell a joke. The comment sections can tell jokes.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I was gonna say this warning here. The reason it happens is because we like unmount the component while it's still busy like deleting theoretically. Because as soon as the delete's done, that like await function is like blah, like it moves out the way. So
Okay.
what I am thinking is theoretically we don't actually have to. I'm wondering if we take away the set is deleting false. Yeah, we actually shouldn't make this a wait. Because we're not waiting for anything to be done. Like when it's done, it's done. Um, we're just gonna like delete it, and we're not gonna set is deleting to false anymore. Because as soon as the delete happens,
I'm back.
okay, cool, you're back. What I was saying was this warning happens because we try to set state like yeah, sorry. So
Yeah.
this basically happens like the warning here is like you can't perform a React state update on an unmounted component. Um,
Okay.
let me try it without removing the await. So what I did was as soon as this contestant's deleted, there's no more component. The component like disappears. So there's
Okay.
no point to say set delete equal to false because it's going to be deleted.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless we wrap this in like a try catch and just say like catch we turn it to stop deleting. So
Alright.
you could like try this here and then let's say something went wrong there, then you can do a catch exe and you can say set is deleting to false because now we're no longer deleting it and the component's still there because it failed to delete. So and you can just console.log
Okay.
the
Sweet.
exception in here. So I just want to check if this does work because it might actually be
Okay.
the like we might not even have to make this delete contestant await, but I mean I think it's good to still make it an await because it is a thing that takes time to do. But just basically the point is because it's deleted, we don't need to go set state to false because it's going to go away anyway. So that might fix our test deleting.
Mhm.
And obviously now, like we don't see the loading contestants anymore because we took that out of our contestants display. We can add it back in, like when we do our
Okay.
custom hook. We'll modify our custom hook tomorrow. Let's remove the other
Okay.
test, and that worked. It worked without like any issue. Remove new guy, it's
Yeah.
working. Removing that guy, it's working. Remove this person. Yeah, we could remove everyone. There's no like weird warnings. Everything just
Yeah.
worked.
That's perfect.
So
Mhm.
yeah, and I mean, it's updated in Firebase. If we go
Cool.
look at Firebase, we back down to like 4 people.
Awesome.
So,
Great.
um, and that happens live. Like
Yo,
if I
so
had these two
sick.
windows separately, you'd actually see the change happen in Firebase. You didn't have to like reload Firebase or anything.
Yeah.
And if you added someone in here, or let's just change Kevin's name to like uh, Kevin the dude. I updated here and like immediately back in our app, change to Kevin the dude.
Sweet. That's
So
so
it's like
sick, man.
very like real time and it's like working. Um, yeah. So, but yeah, we
Is anyone
must.
else feeling super excited? So stoked, dude.
Yeah, no.
I want to show
It was
people the VS
surprisingly
Code side.
easy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like you just set up the little things, and then like they kind of like work off of each other. Like so, if you can like yeah, again setting up the streaming. Now that everything's streamed, you don't have to like manage like what the state looks like and stuff. You're just always subscribing to a new snapshot. So whenever Firebase updates, it sends a little signal to our app saying it's updated, and then we respond to it by updating our state on our side.
Okay.
And that's the cool thing with the hooks approach now. I mean, we're not using hook, but we hard coded the snapshot work into our component. But you could use that same hook in multiple places, and you can make the hook a bit configurable. So you can like say like a you can put like a config options in that hook and say order by, and then you can select any key and order direction, and you could say ascending or descending, and like yeah, like random stuff. You could just, as you need them, you can add little filter options to your get
Cool.
contestants hook that you make. But don't worry about that now. Just get it to work. That's your homework for tomorrow. Uh,
Sweet. Guys,
and
can I just
yeah,
ask you a favor quickly?
what?
How the heck do we zoom out on our VS
You press
code?
like Alt plus and Alt minus, or Control plus and Alt like minus. I don't remember. So I'm on a Mac, so mine's a bit different.
Yeah, it's alt,
Oh, there we go. Sorted.
Yeah.
I think.
So
Yeah.
I can like go like really far away if I wanted to, just like that.
Okay. Mine's control.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, you're right.
Okay, sweet. That's way better. Thank you.
Were you like super zoomed in or super zoomed out?
Yo, dude, like it looked like I thought I was probably a like 150-year-old person with that had no eyesight.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I like when I record videos, I zoom it in a bit. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I think that's good.
Oh, okay. This was a good Stoke session. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it actually
Yes,
works now, which is cool. Then yeah, tomorrow we can
Yeah.
work on updating, which is actually going to be like when
Yes.
we add the contestant, we need to first get existing contestants, check if the
Yeah.
contestant with that name exists. If the contestant with that name exists, we update that contestant. Otherwise, we add a new contestant. So it's going to be like really modifying our add contestant.
Okay.
I mean, we'll probably just make it, we'll change it to submit contestant, like call it that, because submitting means it could add or update.
Yes.
We just,
Okay.
yeah. So
Hmm.
that's that. So yeah, I mean, any questions before we like call it a
Well,
day? I
yeah.
need to
At
find
this
out.
point, I feel pretty like comfortable.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to doing that help one.
That's a
Oh,
first.
what? You, me?
No, no, I said for both of you, you guys are comfortable.
Oh, hook, sorry. I'm looking forward to doing that hook.
The hook's gonna be, yeah. That I'm a bit curious about, but yeah.
Well, again, I literally made a whole video on it like yesterday.
Yeah.
So
No, I watched it.
definitely.
I mean, we could
Awesome.
technically put the hooks into services. I don't know, like, yeah.
I sure wanna just go check your hook that you made on here quickly. Now that I'm zoomed out, I can find it easy.
Yeah, you basically make the context. The context has a default value in it, like
Yeah.
over there. So the default values here, like, ignore the is mobile and it is height. Let's pretend we're looking at the
Yes.
window width. Okay, that's the value.
Okay, cool.
Then
Yeah.
we create a provider for that hook. So when you say viewport context, you can say viewport context.provider and you set a value in here. Now we kind of modify it a bit by creating a special viewport provider. And you guys will call it the like contestants provider.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and like I think what you could do is you could just put all your hooks into, yeah, I don't know. We can make a folder called firebase and then like say like use like contestants or I don't know, or you just put them all in. Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be fine there as it is actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
would be
make another
cool, I
one in
think.
there. But yeah,
Okay.
so we're setting our state width and we're setting width to window.inner width. Then
Yeah.
I'm just doing my use effect stuff. So this is where you'd put your like use effect and stuff in there. In this
Yes.
case, we're listening for the window being resized. So um, if you set window like on resize, we're calling handle resize. So that makes our window width. Because the thing with this window inner width is you'll only get the value once when the component mounts. But the problem is, what if you change the screen size? You want to update that value. So this is what
Yeah.
this does: is it updates the value and it stores it like in the context provider. Then
Ah,
finally,
okay.
we just make a use. We have used context and we're using the viewport context. So it's like we've done with context before, but we're just calling it its own little special hook now. Um,
Okay.
and I mean, yeah, like I actually have to look into how to add variables to custom hooks because I know you could like add in var1 go into here, but like how do we um, get that into our provider because that's where we're going to need to put it. So yeah, I must Google that. That's my homework.
Cool.
um, but yeah, you'll see how this works very much like when you do
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, just gotta do it. That's
Just do it.
gonna be cool.
See if I go to log out and log in. Yeah, there's no warnings or anything, so it's all good. Yeah, the only thing obviously now is it's not showing that is fetching. But that's something we can add to like our hook, and yeah, we can
Yeah.
add an is fetching in return like the values is fetching and width.
Cool.
I mean, I don't know if this takes like anything else. Um, it's like not really.
And
Oh, wait, there were like things in there. It takes a key and it takes children. That's not useful. Yeah, so that's the thing. But yeah, I'm here to say anything
cool.
if you need anything.
Yeah, my bro, I was gonna ask, can you just do a quick like brush over on the way because on how we did the returning to the login page if it's not well like yeah leave you on the login page with our
Okay.
use effect and stuff. Can you just go over that one just like a quick brush over and then yeah.
So important thing, if we look at this in isolation,
Yes.
this component basically says we're gonna listen for history and logged in. History doesn't really change. Like,
Okay.
well, it does. It does when you change to go to this route or something. So theoretically, it
Yeah.
does. But when the component gets mounted, we slap this use effect onto there, and we say if
Yes.
history or logged in changes, then run this function.
Yes.
So now, yeah,
Yeah, I get
if
that
if
part.
the
Yeah.
user's logged in, we push them away. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
we
matter
push
how
them
they
to
got
the
logged in,
display.
what happened. If they're logged in, we push them away.
Yes.
Um, so yeah,
All right.
what's like that? That's all we needed to do.
Oh no, I'm saying like so like when we're not logged in
Yeah.
and we go sorry
Okay.
and
So
then
from
we
home.
go yes.
So we're at home at the moment. Okay, and
Yes.
this is logged in is just to check whether or not we show as contestants. But we
Yes.
have an auth button here. This is a component
Oh, yes.
that we created,
That's where it is.
and
Yes.
the auth button looks different and does different things based off of whether or not you're logged in. So again, if we're logged in,
Oh, there we go. That's all I needed.
yeah,
Thank you.
if we're logged in, we say log out. If we're
Yeah.
not logged in, we say log in.
Yes.
If we're logged in, we dispatch log out when it gets clicked. Otherwise,
Yes.
we go to the login page.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
So
All right.
yeah,
Great.
Perfect. Sweet.
So again, every little
Wow.
thing in isolation. You just gotta like
Yes, dude. You're a legend,
what this
man.
what.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
thanks,
much.
Barry.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, things are starting to make sense to me now.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. I'm
Yeah,
glad to
getting
know that
better and
the
better each day.
weird mess in
Yeah,
my head makes some sort of sense.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I often
Especially with
feel
our homework yesterday.
very,
It helped a
very
lot.
alone
yeah.
with the stuff. Nobody gets me. It's not
Yeah,
like
I
I have a
think.
whole bunch of React colleagues at work. There's one, and he's in a different time zone to me. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think the one of the gray areas for me still is the whole reducer things. Like, but
Yeah.
I just need to read the documentation on, where to put,
Yeah,
how you
basically,
structured it.
if I
It's still
can
a bit confusing.
explain the concept again, and that will help you kind of understand the structure. Like, um, these helpers are just state mutators. So if the state that has to change is complicated based off of like the action and the existing state, we move it into helpers so that our Redux index file doesn't look so messed up. But
Yeah, no, the helpers I kind of understand. It's just
yeah,
these three
so
files,
you
the
have a
action types,
store.
actions, index.
So action type's very simple. It's just the you're writing the keys for actions and index. So that's like you don't need action types. You can just hard code the strings if you want. Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
types.logout is just returning the string logout.
okay.
Um, and yeah, index like types.logout logout is also just returning the string logout. So you can completely remove action types if you want and just write in the strings. The thing with putting it into action types like that is if you start making multiple reducers, you might want to put like a namespace hooked to those types. So you make like a prefix, like saying like auth/login, and then you can still just within this
Um,
context of that file. Yes.
can I just tell Richard something quick?
Okay.
Um, so like if you check in the action types, bro.
Yeah,
So there we got the set name, set points, everything, and it's exported, right? Export const, whatever. And then you check in the action, the action JS, actions JS, we
yes,
import as types from the action type. So we're importing that into this now.
yes.
And then where's the, yeah, so now we got the set name type, which is this over here, right, Barry?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically the import all those types. You could also import clear contestant input and import set username, set password, set everything from action types. But if you say all those
Full
types, then
string.
you can just
Okay.
say types dot clear contestant. So that's a string, like pretty straightforward. And the
Yeah.
same thing happens in our Redux file. So
Okay.
you don't need the action types in there. We could just say type is the clear contestant input string, and type is
Yeah.
the set username string. Like so, again, the reason I put that there's later on when you want to kind of scale a bit, this becomes really useful to know this how this works because like if you have multiple reducers, you might want to put a prefix because you might have like something like open modal, but then like you have an open modal for like the auth page and you have an open modal for like the admin page and you have like open
Sorry.
modal from other stuff. Yeah, sorry. Um, we'll wait till
Okay.
Richard is free.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. So basically, you could have an action that says open modal, but that could happen on two different like kind of reducers because you can make multiple reducers and combine them into all one big massive one. But then you need the actions to be like separate. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I'm kind of going like ahead of things because I haven't been able to show you how that would work. I have been able to, I just haven't bothered because our reducer is pretty basic.
Okay.
But like my company, I have like a reducer per user role, and then I have a reducer per feature within that user role. And then sometimes they go even splitting beyond that, like per like different kind of functions within that feature, depending on how complicated it gets. So like I'm combining reducers and combining things, and like I need a way to organize it. So doing this action types thing really helps.
Okay.
Because like in action types, I like at the top of my file, I'll just say like I'd say something like oh my gosh, everything's so slow. I would say like I'd make a constant here and I'd say prefix and I'd say like auth slash, and then for all of these types I'll just like set up a little prefix in here to give me like it's almost like acting as the namespace for this action type.
Okay.
So it like becomes a namespace, because now what it would actually return is auth slash set name, instead of just set name.
Okay.
And then it means like all my reducer and my actions in this directory will be will basically like they'll be referring to the same string, which is great. But yeah, completely not useful. I didn't mean to spend so long on that. Sorry. Basically, this is a string. If you wanted to, in actions, you don't have to use types. You could just say set name is the string. And here, you could just make it set name, and this will work. And then
Okay.
in the reducer, you could write. Oh, sorry, no, action.name's right. Action.name should be there. But up here, this types.set name, same thing. You can just write set name.
Okay.
So that's how that works. You guys can change that back later. What we're doing is we've wrapped our whole app in a provider, which has the store as a prop, and the store is like created from our reducer. Like, so that provider basically holds our application state. This is the initial state, so if state is undefined, it will return this. So that's our default like state that we have. I mean, we can remove username and password because we're not using it. And this initial state, like again, it's our store, it's our app state. Whenever an action is dispatched, our reducer responds to the dispatched actions based off of the action type, and it will update the state accordingly. If none of these types are matching the dispatched action, we won't do anything. We'll just return the state as is. So nothing will change. But basically, this is just our like state mutator. It's the thing that updates our state. And obviously now, because other things are subscribed to the specific state objects, like so some components are subscribed to is logged in, some are subscribed to contestants. I mean, we're going to remove contestants as well. Theoretically, at the end of this, the only thing we're going to have is logged in and name and points. Like, this is the only thing in our reducer right now, which is why I haven't split it up, because our reducer is so basic. It's just that these other three things need to like bugger off because we're not using them anymore.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you guys want to do that as like some homework, is like remove this not being used, and then go and remove all the like helpers surrounding affecting those.
Okay.
Because for login, we started adding the action in which includes the like username and password in the actual action. We passed it through as the action instead of using state. So I think on the earlier stages when I was showing Kevin how everything works, I was showing him the different ways that you can do things, because there are multiple ways you can do things. But I always obviously try and opt for the like minimal code, like passing the least things around kind of thing. So yeah, again, the concept of reducer is you have a global state components subscribe to the state. When the state updates, the components will update too. You don't have to pass props
Okay.
around, and that's the really nice thing about it. So we don't have to pass login through our whole application like is logged in, which you would have to do if you weren't using. Well, you can use Redux like, or you can use React context. But if you weren't using those two complicated things, you'd have to do things very painfully and like pass that value between components, which would suck.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Barry. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. But yeah, mostly like this is almost as tough as it gets. Like just understanding this concept really well will allow you to understand the other concepts really well. Um, like Redux doesn't get much more complicated than this. This is it. You can add like a plugin that works as like a middleware thing, but that middleware just means that you can start writing actions that are asynchronous. So, but we're gonna avoid that for now because on Firebase we can just build our little service hooks in there. So yeah.
Okay.
I mean, theoretically, what we might end up doing is actually moving away from Reducer completely. Because if we make like authentication on Firebase, which we should totally do, um, when we do that, we will be pretty much like
Okay.
sorted, and we can just use like a Firebase service to log in, and then you can get the auth like thing through our Firebase service. We'll probably make a custom hook for that as well. And yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, sweet. That is that. This is pretty cool though. I mean, I'm pretty happy with what we've built so far, and like
Yeah.
how we're moving away from like Redux
me
to
too.
Firebase, and like yeah, I think that's what might be confusing as well, because you're like, why are we using Redux? We don't have to, and you're absolutely right. So like this name and points thing, we could just like, we don't need to put it in Redux. We could just put it all in the same like component and like update states and pass through like the submitted thing without using Redux state. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a cool thing. uh,
Nice.
any other questions? You guys good?
Yeah.
For me.
Anyone in the comments? I mean, no, aside from the one dude saying, yo, you code some NASA stuff, which is great. Glad I do some NASA things.
So technically, also, Barry, we don't need this remove contestant, do we?
yeah,
That in the
we can get rid of that.
this over here.
Yeah, so
In the
that's like
index and
basically, if you guys can,
yeah.
remove everything except the login logout stuff, and then the
Yeah.
set points and don't remove the clear stuff, and you can put that type.set name back in, I guess. Yeah, you guys do that.
Cool.
So don't remove this, and don't remove this, but everything in
Wait, I missed
between.
that. Then remove what?
Okay, I'm just gonna write a comment. Remove all this
Not
and
this.
another one up until here.
Yeah.
So you can remove all that stuff, and then you can remove all the stuff related to it,
Yes.
like the helpers attached to it.
Yes. Just
I mean,
while we're here quickly,
yeah.
I saw there, login. So the little below there.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going up like an idiot. Yeah, login.
Yeah, so there at login. So just for instance, so now this is, how do we get this to our app again? Can I just see the route that follows? Like to get to the app?
Okay, I'm gonna speak it through because that
Yeah,
will
just
actually be
quickly,
easier.
if that's cool.
When we're on the login page and you
Yes.
click login, it
Yeah.
will dispatch an action which
Yes.
will have the username and password attached to that action that we're sending through.
Okay.
So we've dispatched an action with a username and password. It's gone through.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
then the actions dispatch is logged in. Now in here we
Yes.
have a helper where we take the existing state and we take the action.
Yes.
The action has three things on it. It's got the type, which we've
Yes.
already, established, is used
Yes.
here, but it's also got the name and the password. In the helper
Okay.
function, we check is the name, like we basically do a little check, like is
Yeah.
the username correct? If not, we alert and display an error. We don't change anything. We just display an error and say no, it's not.
Yes.
If the password is wrong, then we say okay, no, it's not. So you don't change anything. Then if
Yes.
if they both are right, we return the state, and the state says the existing state plus is logged
Yes.
in is true,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
much
Cool.
that. And
Yes.
and obviously we don't have to clean up anything because as soon as you log in, we move away from that page,
Yes.
and it gets unmounted. Um,
Yeah.
so the
And
state
that's
doesn't have to
just
be cleaned up and all
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Sweet. And that's just exported like default login. That's how we take it in our login page, correct? I
So on
mean
the
in
login
our
page, you're getting it from actions. So this login
and then
and
the
the
homepage.
actions login are
Yeah.
two different things. So the one
Yes.
that we're using on our login page, we're importing login from reducer slash actions, and the one that we're
Yes.
using in here, we're importing login from helpers. So they are two different
Okay. There we go.
functions.
Okay.
So this login over here
Is different.
is not the one that we use over here. This is the one we dispatch on
Yes.
our login page, and this is the one
Yes.
that we use in our reducer helper.
Okay. Cool.
You could just put all of this as is uh, into the reducer if you don't want to have these
Okay.
helpers. I just think it cleans up our
Okay.
files nicely, but if you
No, it
wanted to,
doesn't.
you could stick it all into here and just code it in there. But I generally like my Redux stuff to have like just one-liners, like
Yes.
because you end up writing so many actions that like to have like
Cool.
big blocks is like what does this do? Like you don't really
Yeah.
need to see the big picture all at once. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet, man.
No one in the comments asked anything yet, so that's the thing. Cool. So that is that. So yeah, you guys are gonna do two things. You're gonna remove all the stuff we're not using,
Yeah.
like the refresh points and stuff, and that also means remove the components. So I think we're not using
Cool.
dispatch button anymore. You can remove that. So like just
Yeah.
try clean things up so you have a better idea of like what's being used and what's not.
Cool.
Okay.
And you can do that pretty well by just like at the moment, we're running through the app and we know like exactly what we're using, whatnot. I mean, we've looked at this enough together to know like
Yeah.
we're not using the refresh points and refresh contestants button anymore, because we moved over to Firebase and we'll do something different there. We can put them back in later as like Firebase functions. We're not
Yeah.
using dispatch button, but we are using everything else. If you want to do like extra credit stuff, you can combine this contestants input all back into one component because it's pretty straightforward. It's just name is set
Yeah.
name and points is set points, and then submit the on click will use that state. So I just wanted to show this when I was doing Redux that you can actually do things very easily. But this input you can actually convert it all back into one big component because the like components in between are very simple. Except this one. This one was a mess because I was showing how to do this with class components. So what you would do here is instead of doing all the Redux stuff, you can remove it all and just say set state, put this input like in over there, So that you can do if you get stuck and give up on the other stuff.
Cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
I should save whatever I did in here and save whatever I did in there.
Sweet.
Yeah. So this actually technically means you can remove these as well.
I think are we going to remove the user button as well? We may as well because we're not doing anything with that, eh?
Yeah,
On the
yeah.
login page.
Yeah, you should remove that. So yeah,
Yeah.
basically your job is to remove a bunch of stuff, and then you can add your hooks.
Cool.
Sweet.
Awesome.
And I mean,
Yeah,
if you
well,
have
my brain needs
questions,
a
just
bit of
WhatsApp me. Yeah, me too. I'm like that.
Yeah, well done, Barry.
Cool.
You explained
Thanks.
everything pretty well today.
So
Jesus,
tomorrow
dude.
we
Yeah,
will
thank you.
update
Cool.
contestant. We'll update our ad contestant, but we'll try and convert everything into like firebase hooks and do something cool with that. I need to go learn how to make configurable hooks. So yeah, that'd be useful. Cool.
Awesome.
Right.
Sweet, boys. Thanks so much.
Well, I will
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
catch you guys soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys
What
like
time we gonna
happy for like a sort of lunchtime vibe
do our
tomorrow
stuff with
maybe?
it?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Kevin was asking you
Okay.
Richard, what time you want to work together today.
Oh, today. Let's do like maybe 4.
Yeah.
3 or
Sounds
4.
good. Cool.
Oh, you got something to play for us, Kevin.
Hey, always.
It's just like immediately jammed off. Okay, well I'm gonna end the stream at least. So cheers people. I waved that way and I'm actually meant to wave this way. But yeah. Bye guys.